You find yourself around a table of friends. In front of you are polyhedral dice with many shapes and forms. Also in front of you are books and more books. But in front of that is a battle mat with a lot of miniatures and a lot of symbols. And in front of that mat with symbols and miniatures is another mat, is another board. It's like a board that you would use to cover your answers in a test to make sure nobody sees it. And in front of that is somebody behind the screen. That's a Dungeon Master screen. This is Dungeons and Dragons, and this is Yuuki D&D. Welcome to Yuuki D&D. This is your channel where I'm going to be playing with my friends with some homebrew D&D on Roll20 or VR chat if possible with when we have the time. I would like to welcome you as I am also the Dungeon Master on this particular channel. Hopefully you guys enjoy what you're about to see. But before that, let's talk about how I got myself into this game of Dungeons and Dragons. So it was a few years ago. Um, if you guys remember, there is an episode of Big Bang Theory, and it was the love potion potential, or something like that. It was when the girls went to Vegas and the boys got to play Dungeons and Dragons. So I believe he said the girls are away and the boys are gonna play. And then Sheldon was like Dungeons and Dragons, and then the everybody else was happy, cheering, and all that. One of them had the pizza and stuff. I forgot the names of the characters, but I know they had pizza and stuff. And then when they cut to the scene where the girls are in the taxi to go to the airport, they were like cheering Vegas, Vegas. And then back in the in the apartment room with Sheldon, they were chanting the spell of something. I got no idea what they were talking about, but I know it has something to do with this game. Remember, at the time, I didn't know what this game was. And then they cut to another scene where they start playing. They're in the middle of a encounter with the ogre, and that's how I started D&D. I mean, learning about Dungeons and Dragons. So, I like a few days later after that, I said, you know what? Give it to me. I go on Amazon and buy the starter set, the one with Pathfinder, the starter set for the games. So I get my character sheets, I get my dice. I actually still have some of it, although I bought some of these. These are my dice now. I lost the original ones, but these I got from the original. Like I just collect dice because I play board games. So, like these could come useful one day. Anyway, so not only did I get D&D with the starter set, I started learning about the game. Hey, that is how you make a character. That is how you do this and that. Like, cool. I play it by myself because I was at the time learning about the game. I'm like, oh boy, lots of math. I'm like, okay, there's gonna be a lot of math and a lot of rules. And I look at the player's handbook. Now you gotta remember, this is the starter set. So that is not the 200. That is not the 500-page player's handbook that you see today. This was just the regular starter set to understand the game of D&D. Like, there's a lot to learn in this. Like, okay, I gotta try to see if I can simplify the process of playing this. I'm like, maybe I could do this, but as a homebrew. Like, I'll play the rules, but I'll homebrew some rules to make it easier for me to understand of how to play D&D. Then it was a few years later after that that I actually got Pathfinder, which is like the sister to D&D. It was this sister thing to D&D. The reason why I got that too was because I get to have a box. So that if I want to play with my cousin, I can bring it over. This was when we were younger. Fast forward to that day that we started to play together. It was actually fun. You just have to. I just homebrewed the whole thing, homebrew everything. I'm like, forget the rule book. Let me let me homebrew everything except for the basic mechanics. The basic mechanics of like rolling dice, initiative, all that I have to keep. Constitution score I have to keep. Intelligence score, all that I have to keep that to make it D&D. But I can homebrew the rest of the stuff. Like we were having a lot of fun. Fast forward to a few years ago. My cousin is now the D&D for his own group. The DM, excuse me. He is now the DM of his own group because I taught him how to play a little bit. And then they just went from there. And that is how I got into D&D, and that's how my cousin got into D&D, and that's how his friends got into D&D. So so it all started with one episode of Big Bang Theory. Unfortunately, the show ended in terms of the original. They have a new one called Young Sheldon, but I'm not sure if they have D&D episode. But the point is, it all started with one episode of Big Bang Theory, and it was Love Spell Potential. And so now, I'm like a few days ago, fast forward to a few days ago, and how I wanted to start this channel. So a few days ago, I started getting back into D&D because I started watching Critical Role again. I actually still watch Critical Role now. I got back into it with Critical Role and the Bell's House campaign they're running right now. And actually, there's a live show tomorrow at the Greek Theater for Bell House. Excuse me, Bell's House number 99. Episode 99 will be live at the Greek Theater. So they played the D&D. And Matt Mercer as a DM is very funny. And I got inspired by him. Literal. I actually got inspired by him by his catchphrase. When they defeat the enemies, how do you want to do this? So I got inspired to add that into something like that. And you guys on the main channel, Yuki Productions, voted for how do you want to finish this. So I'm gonna keep that one. Now, as far as my homebrew knowledge and homebrewing kind of thing, I try my best to take it from the games that I like to play and see if I can um change the system to make it D&D. So the common one that one I do is Pokemon. I might make one later for Resident Evil because I played Resident Evil. Maybe I can do one for the Tales of Graces games. Who knows? But I want to show you guys a little bit of my Pokemon D&D homebrew. Although I did a video on this on my main channel, I want to show you guys just a little bit of how my homebrewing works for Pokemon. And somebody actually on my YouTube channel, main one, actually helping out. So that is my player's handbook for D&D Pokemon. It's not complete yet because I need to do the character creation thing. But some of the rules are borrowed from the original D&D. So I explain how my homebrew works, how do you do DM, GM pages. I actually have a card system because of Roll 20. Usually on this game I have a D20 and a D6. However, I added a D10 for certain attacks. Then I created a custom character sheet template right here. So you guys can try that out. I'll actually have different videos for this stuff um in the future when I start making my system more compatible with D&D 5e or 5e or whatever E that we're on right now. So I have a sample character sheet for a Lucario, as in Pokemon Lucario, and I named them after me, Francis the Lucario. Don't worry about age and stuff. I just added that just because of Dungeons and Dragons rulebook, but it does mean nothing in the game of D&D. Bio though, you may use it if you want to roleplay it. Then the item bag and then the move list and details and all that good stuff you would normally see in Pokemon. I use the PowerPoint system just like in Pokemon. So normally each different move has PowerPoints, like 30 out of 30, 20 out of 20, all that. If you want out of that move, you cannot use it. However, for D&D, I decided it's a pull. So each combat, you have 30 PowerPoints to use, and it's shared with all the moves. I'll explain that stuff in its own video, but I just want to give you guys a little taste of what my homebrew looks like. And I explain the rules. I explain the rules of how the moves work, how the item bag works, how combat works, initiative, custom stuff, also examples, and 20 natural 20s, everybody's favorite thing. How what happens with a Pokemon faints and stuff. I decided to do a revival check instead of a death save because it makes no sense to have Pokemon dying. Makes zero sense. Unless of course the DM said so. But you know what? I'm like, nah, no Pokemon deaths here, except for story elements. So I just have you make a revival check. Just get 10 or over and you're good to go. Just you revive it on 1d10. And then I tell you what's going on with a natural 20 and dirty 20. Then exploration, and then a little bit of some item moves, some moves here. Some of this is going to get a revamp later on. Then a player role table. If you guys want to make your own character, you can choose this one, or you can make your own roles. Your own roles. And here's the sample character sheet with all the new stuff and all that good nice stuff. A note section. And if you use the card system on the roll 20, I have a card system thing that I do. So there's that. Actually, tonight we're having a special session, session 0 of our first campaign. We tested the system last night, the last few nights with my buddies, and now we're actually going to play a D&D with my system in version 0.30. And if you are interested in trying this out for yourself with me as a DM, I'll be happy to just let me know what day you guys are available. Okay, we'll try this out together. Or if you want to wait for me to like do the rule book, the player's handbook, and all that, let me know. The so-called monster manual will be the Pokemon manual in this case because we're talking about Pokemon, not like monsters in general. I'll explain the stats and all that and how you can play with it. Now keep in mind that the tiles that we're using here is from somebody who made the tile set. So somebody actually made this. So I'll let you guys know now that it is not mine. Number one, I suck at drawing. Number two, I cannot tile correctly. So there you go. The tokens are also from the same person, and you can make your own maps on Roll 20. That's what I like about Roll 20. Make your own maps. I will give you a very brief preview right now of how the campaign is going to start, but I'm not going to explain how it's going to end. Just to let you guys on your toes. Just to dip your toes in the water of what I'm about to have my players journey through. I will be using my voice mod thing for the characters, by the way. That I voice because I will control a few characters in this. I will obviously control the enemies, and I have one called Francis the Trico, so I'll voice him. as well. Here's how the campaign starts. You find yourself in this three-bedroom house, wondering about what's about to happen. In front of you, if you are in my point of view, if you're in this Mudkip's point of view, in front of you is a nice, handsome looking Trico. To your right is a Puchiana. You get to know these characters. And in front of you, this Trico is named Francis the Trico. And to your right, we have no name yet, but I'm gonna say Tim for the moment. Tim the Puchiana. As you guys are talking to each other, you find a messenger Pidgey or messenger Talo, or some national dex here. This Talo drops off a note. Oh, Francis Atrico says, "Hey, we have a note here. I wonder what it says." The Mudkip replies with, "Ooh, probably an adventure." Keep in mind that I'm not going to voice a Mudkip. That's another buddy of mine. And then the Puchiana says, also voiced by one of my other friends, he says, "Ooh, adventure, exciting." Francis Atrico opens the scroll and it reads, and I will quote this for now. "Dear traveler, we have found a we have been investigating about a missing skeptile wandering around here. We have no idea where he is. The last time he was seen was somewhere in the northwest. Last time we have seen him, several Team Rocket members may have captured this skeptile. We're looking for adventurers to help. If you would like to help and answer the call, please come to the professor's office and sign up today." That's the preview. I'm not going to explain anything more because I'll spoil it. That's the only thing I'm going to say. I cannot tell you who's the name of the Umbria, excuse me, of the Puchiana. I will tell you it is voiced by somebody you know on my main channel. It will be voiced by somebody you know on my main channel, and that Mudkip will also be voiced by somebody who you know on my main channel. So yeah, familiar faces in a new world. Cool. So this is Yuuki D&D. The adventures are about to begin. The question is, will you roll a natural 20? Or will the dice be mean and give you a natural 1? What happens in this adventure? Find out when we get started very soon. Recording actually begins tonight for this first campaign 0, and then the first episode begins. It's going to get nuts. Enjoy and welcome to Yuki D&D. I cannot wait to give you the adventures that we have. And may the dice gods give you a natural 20. Enjoy and keep on rolling.